Hello and welcome everyone to another Link to the Past Randomizer. We have Makinx versus jmeasher here today. It's actually round 2 of a doubleheader between these two, and they are off already. Looks like they're both sporting the same sprites as they did before, a Link and a Toad. I believe in their first race today, Makinx took the win and jmeasher opted to forfeit. These things happen, but we're in for another exciting race. We have all dungeons, standard, meaning we'll be doing the escape sequence first. Randomized swords, so it looks like Uncle's given us Fire Rod today. Very interesting item to start off with. You know, you only got so many limited shots, but everything kills so fast. So you're going to see a little bit of management there. Oh, Makinx getting a nice bomb drop instantly. Going to be really good for the back of the escape sequence. Just a heart container, so given this is normal mode, hearts are not going to be as terrifying of a factor. But, you know, always that early love can come in handy. I am Xander Robotnik here, by the way, starting off our commentary. And both of these runners now heading to the back, heading through escape. As mentioned, this is a standard, so we get to see this whole setup. So the only difference between this and the spring tournament, this version, this race here, is that we have all dungeons, meaning we will be seeing every single dungeon visited and completed, including Aga 1, which is one of those places that when you do defeat Ganon Seed, you don't like having to see, because that means that's probably your Dark World access, or there was something on Lumberjack Cave. Just finding a key there, so there's plenty more still to be found here in the escape sequence. A little reminder, with the standard setup, we will be going through a dark room and given a free light cone, which is a nice little convenience for these runners. So the dark rooms of the escape sequence are considered in logic, just basically because they are required to get through the escape sequence. And it looks like I am now accompanied by my co-commentator, Carrigill. How you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Always excited to see some randomizer. Just got a map in that chest there. Yeah. You got any hopes or dreams for this race, by the way?
I mean, seeing some of the usual trolls would be really nice. Just because, you know, who doesn't want to see some kind of trolliness? But nothing specific comes to mind.
Fair enough. Just out of curiosity as we keep going through escape here, do you have a favorite location to find progress in?
I mean, Kakariko is always good to see progression, or nothing's wrong with a good fake flipper. What about you?
Yeah, some of those little sequence breaks are definitely entertaining to watch. All right, and as these runners start heading back towards the front of escape to get through the sewers, as mentioned, this does have randomized swords, meaning that, as we saw, Uncle did not guarantee finding us a sword. So we could be going for as short as 5 minutes or as long as an hour plus, dealing with the entire game without swords as our weapons. What are your thoughts on that? Do you hope that we find a sword soon, or do you want to see these people manage swordless for a while?
I'd like to see 4 or 5 bosses with fighter sword, just because that always entertains me. And the last 5 seeds I've ran, I've had to do fighter sword all the way up to Turtle Rock, so I'd like to see somebody else have to deal with it.
Just basically, it's the whole feeling of misery loves company, right?
Absolutely. Using that fire rod to take out some of those ropes there. Very nice.
And fortunately, at this point, I didn't see when jmeasher got their bombs. I believe we saw Makinx earlier on, but both of them do have at least 1 bomb now, so we're not going to be leaving those 3 chests in the back of escape behind. Always good to get that bomb beforehand, because if there's something nice there and you don't get it during escape, it's really frustrating to have to come back for it.
Yeah, nothing worse than trying to get through escape with Absolutely no bombs. Nobody ever wants to have to come back. And we see gloves, and did I see the Fisher Price shield there as well? Out of the back of Escape?
It sure seems like it. I'm seeing them both walking proudly out of the sanctuary with it. Well, they will be. I'm being a fortune teller here. I'm sorry. Just got a feeling.
Well, if you're fortune telling right now, I'd love to know the lottery numbers coming up.
Nah, that don't come cheap.
And Bombos out of Sanctuary chest. Alright, Tree Pull's giving us bombs tonight. It's always good information to have.
Yeah, I know there's multiple tiers of different items that can come out. To be honest, I can never know for sure what tier it was, but it looks like both of them got lucky and struck gold with their tier, whatever Tree Pull tier they got, because they got plenty of bombs now for Kakariko. And in case if they want more, they can totally beat Aghanim, which they will have to do, but they could come back to the Lumberjack Cave just to pick up 3 more bombs. I doubt we'll be seeing that.
Hey, with Randomizer, you never know. Those 3 bombs might be all that they get for a while.
And both runners deciding that heart container is worth grabbing, I do not blame them. I see a heart container, I get it. I'm a simple man.
I am the exact same way when it comes to that, and just 10 arrows and the thieves tied out here, so nothing really worthwhile happening in Lost Woods. Progression-wise, at least, I should say.
Alright, and here's where we find out what kind of seed we got going on here. Plenty of chests to be found in Kakariko. jmeasher's got their bombs out and getting ready to head down into Blind's basement here. See what we find.
And so we get a blue boomerang, some blueberries, a few more blueberries, and a mirror.
That was a very blue first set of chests. Let's see if this back chest can keep this blue theme going. And there we go,
and
more blueberries. Aw, Blind Sut, why are you so sad? Because it's blue, right?
Yep.
It's okay, my jokes typically don't stick.
Honestly, I didn't want to admit that I laughed at that.
Alright, so far just a little bit of money, although these runners do need it to afford the merchant and a hook shot. There's something more interesting.
So Kakariko's actually coming up pretty well right now. Hookshot gives him a little bit of mobility. It opens up east side of Death Mountain once we get access up there.
Bottle vendor with a raw deal. Spend 100, get back 20.
Chicken Shack just has a little bit more money for us tonight.
Keep this up, we'll have enough money for Zora in no time.
Titan's Mitts out of the tavern. Okay.
So that gives us Dark World access, although without the Moon Pearl, these runners aren't going to get too far.
Well, to be fair, who doesn't love running around Dark World as a bunny?
Honestly, one of my favorite things about the randomizer are the sprites, and one of the things I feel like I miss out on a lot are what the bunny sprites are for some of the variations. I'm not sure if I've seen what Toad's bunny sprite is, so I'm kind of hoping we get a sneak peek at that at some point.
Just a big red on the race game tonight, so jmeasher is just going to go ahead and save and quit out of here. Makinx following suit.
It looks like we got some South Shore checks going on here. Definitely another nice big wave of items worth dropping by, checking.
Absolutely. Very item dense. It's early. Gotta love it. And we get some blue mail out of the front half.
I like seeing these runners make early use of that trick with the mirror, where if you just kind of spam the mirror when you're pushing blocks inside some of these rooms, that just make the blocks go bye-bye.
Definitely one of the more useful things, and just 10 arrows coming out of the other part of this area, so looks like our runners are going to work their way over to Mini Moldorum Cave now.
And they definitely are well equipped to clear that place out. That hook shot's definitely going to get some nice quick kills on those Mini Moldorums.
Oh yeah, the hook shot makes this cave all but a joke.
I've seen runners have to deal with this cave with bombs, and just with the limited amount you have, it always seems terrifying to me to have to do something like that.
jmeasher getting trolled a little bit. Happens to the best of us from time to time. And we got a book. The Boots! Early Boot Seed.
Interesting, jmeasher heads left with those boots.
A little bit of a diversion. So now I got to figure he's going to be going over to the desert area to try to get that out of the way early.
For sure, yeah. They're seeing, oh, look, I have desert access now. Like, they have the possibility of full clear desert at this point, don't they?
Yes, they do. With that fire rod, all jmeasher needs is a little bit more magic, and he can get that out of the way right now.
Now, I do not blame Makinx for what they're doing, though, because this Ice Rod Cave is always way out of the way. And with a Moon Pearl! Nice! But yeah, it's way out of the way, so, like, it's only one item, so you don't want to have to go there, but it's so far out of the way, so it's like, when's a good time? Makinx shows us the time is now, though.
Yeah, so with that, I gotta figure he's just gonna be skedaddling his way all the way to Dark World, except he's gonna go... Looks like check King's Tomb.
Definitely smart, making good use of this Titan's Mitt Boots combo. They also have the Sanctuary Bonk Rocks on the west of the Sanctuary too. Is that Ice Rod? Wow, all these.
That was Ice Rod.
All right, and then there's just the big key in the back of Desert so far. Wonder if there'll be anything interesting on the Bonk Torch. I'm always a fan of these bonkable locations, so I'm hoping it'll be something exciting. I mean, it's a key. That's something.
Never bad to find, and unique item is in the sewers. Thanks, game.
Can't say I know what that item was. Ooh, and there's red mail, or purple mail, I guess.
Purple's just a different flavor of red, when you think about it. And just a map out of this back part of desert, so he's just going to mirror on out. Start working his way back toward Landmo.
Yeah, jmeasher's found one item in here so far. The other, so we're either going to find the compass or an item in the big chest, and then Landmolus will have the other of those two possible items. Now, I gotta say, this is probably one of the earliest deviations I've ever seen between runners. Only 15 minutes in, and one of them's in desert, and one's in the village of outcasts. Like, how often do you get to say something ridiculous like that?
Yeah, the items definitely allowed for some interesting routing in this one. And Makinx looks like he's going to make the Thieves Town play. Now, I like making this play early just because of all the checks I get in the front half. If you don't find anything, you can always mirror out.
Speaking of things to find, that was the lantern in the first chest.
Not having to navigate any dark rooms is definitely a good thing to see this early in a seed.
Now, an interesting thing to point out for jmeasher's end, I'm wondering if they're pausing because they're thinking of their current situation. They're a little low in their amount of items they have. Like, what they have to kill Amolas is the fire rod, but they have so little magic right now.
Yeah, not entirely sure if they're going to be able to take down Landmo with this level of magic. I don't think so. Don't quote me on that, though. Yep, jmeasher is just going to go ahead and mirror out, realizing, yeah, he probably not going to be able to pull this one off right now.
The good news is for jmeasher, I saw when they paused, they hadn't found the compass yet, so at least there's no items directly held by Landmolas.
That is correct, and we're going to get a check on Agana's Cave from jmeasher. Gotta love getting this one out of the way early, and Agana gives us a piece of heart.
Ready to do some digging?
Always. And we get the hammer.
I don't know what seed I'm watching. They're finding so many items so fast and like all over the place in different spots.
Yeah, that find kind of blew the seed wide open a little bit, because with all the items that they have this early, there's a lot of checks that you can make. And jmeasher picking up his ice rod from King's Tomb.
Oh, this hurts to watch. Not having sword, you can't do the hammer pegs using your Pegasus, like hammer dashing. You just have to kind of do it slow like this. I'm just talking over it to let it go by fast because I really want it to be over, and oh my gosh, thank you, it's done.
Thanks for talking us all through that. jmeasher picking up his red mail and just a big red off the hammer pegs.
So interestingly, jmeasher is going to head up Death Mountain. So to jmeasher's knowledge, this is a sequence break, seeing as they have not found the lantern. And that was the flute by the Smiths. That is, oh my gosh, more fantastic items being found. But yeah, jmeasher clearly has no logical way up the mountain, but is going to go up blindfolded anyway.
That is correct, although using that bloomerang there to good effect, trying to navigate through this dark cave here.
It's a good representation of how bats use sonar to see in the dark, I like to think.
Very true. So, as Makinx works his way back into Thieves Town, we're going to see what the old man has for us tonight, and it is a piece of heart. Alright, let's see what Spectacle Rock is holding for us tonight over on jmeasher's side. We just got a big red, and he's just going to go ahead and go down into the cave. He's not going to bother going in and looking.
Yeah, in the latest version of Link to the Past, this makes perfect sense, because there is a hint tile up here, and that is like one of the new hip things that all the kids are into in randomizers these days, because they can give some helpful clues with some nice information. This time we're finding cash is where? I didn't see that.
Mimic Cave. That's actually a good hint to have, because when you go into Turtle Rock, you know that you can just skip right by a Mimic Cave and go about your day.
Makinx also reading a tile on Thieves' Town. I believe it said Cash by the Elder in Kakariko. So apparently the tiles are very money-oriented today.
Sure seems that way. As jmeasher works his way up Death Mountain, getting dead rocked a little bit. I was wondering if he was going to use that portal that's right there, but it looks like he's just going to let him revive and work his way up the normal route. Ooh. That is an unfortunate dead rock pattern there.
That is unfortunate to see on jmeasher's end. Fortunately, can just restart back in Mountain Cave, so not losing too much distance, but definitely a little rough.
That is for sure. Now, over on Makinx's side, he's just ripping his way through these rooms here in Thieves' Town, way faster than I could ever pull off. You gotta love just watching the skill that these runners play at. You know what I mean?
For sure. And having that hammer already, this entire dungeon is clearable, so that big chest is not being left behind.
Looks like we're going to be getting a check of the big chest and blind, unless I miss my count. Appears I did. And we get the shovel out of Paradox Cave. And we also get Quake, we get a bee in a bottle, we get a bow, we get some money, and some arrows. So while Makinx is taking down Blind in very good fashion, we are getting some serious progression out of Paradox Cave here.
And honestly, with these deviations and all the finds they're getting, it's hard to really tell, like, which one's really doing the better path, because one's found the bow, the other's found the hammer, and I love the deviation. It's paying off for both of them. It's definitely making for a really crazy, confusing race that you're not going to know who's ahead for a while here.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin to guess. So, Makinx is activating his flute while jmeasher is working his way up to finish up the rest of Death Mountain, dipping into Spiral Cave here.
And Makinx deciding after finishing Thieves' Town, let's go ahead and finish off this Smith loop, getting the purple chest.
Yep, I definitely like that call from Makinx. Just wrap up everything else in Thieves' Town, grab this, and then with all the items that we have a bunch of checks that we can do along the way. You can do Cave 45, you can do Hype Cave, you can do Stumpy.
Meanwhile, jmeasher's ready to put that bow to good use, heading to Eastern Palace.
And as Makinx picks up a piece of heart, we get quite a bit of love and the red cane out of Sahasrarla's closet. Speaking of progression. Stumpy just has a little bit more money for us, because apparently this seed wants our runners to be rich the entire time. Seems like it's either progression or money right now. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's also love. You got to see how many hearts both of these runners have. Is jmeasher up to 9 or 10? I can't count that many hearts back to back like that.
Looks like 9.
Makinx heading to Hype Cave, although with how much we've already found, what's left to be hype about this cave?
With this seed, I don't even want to make call. There's something to be hype about right there. And mushroom. So, given that they got a sword, I'd give that about a 3 out of 10.
Fair enough. Okay, so it's 25 minutes in. It sounds super early for me to be saying this, and it blows my mind, but how close are we to at least no mode at this point, where at least we know where all the go mode items are?
Honestly, I'm hesitant to even venture a guess just because of how the seeds played out. It's way too crazy to call right now.
So we found one sword between the two runners. There's still another. We need to find at least one more. We don't have silvers, although I'm pretty sure these runners can most likely do silverless. We need flippers to get through swamp.
Need either Master Sword or Cape to be able to do Aga.
Right. Some caches in Mimic Cave. That's what Eastern Palace says. We already knew that. Dang it. What else is there?
Depending on what medallions are required to open up Mire and Turtle Rock, speaking of which, we're going to get a check on Mire. We have Quake, so we have that medallion on jmeasher's side, which, if I recall correctly, came out of Paradox Cave. Mire Shed giving us our second shield and another heart container.
So yeah, I think we might actually be like 3 items away from go mode. You mentioned sword upgrade or cape for Aga 1, although essentially because we need a sword level 2 to beat Ganon, that kind of means we might need the cape if all the other well, I guess nothing can be locked by behind Aga 1 at this point besides bombs. So yeah, we'll find a sword and won't necessarily need the cape for anything. So it'll be a sword, possibly ether, and flippers. So 2 to 3 items away from go mode, or at least no mode, and 27 minutes in. I can't say I've witnessed anything like this before. And jmeasher going to a dark room. I like this is actually a surprisingly tough dark room to navigate blindly. I like the use of the fire rod just to give a little bit of light to get through there. Definitely a nice awareness of your utilities.
Yeah, that one's very easy to forget, and then you'll find yourself stumbling blindly through there when you could have just thrown your fire rod there. Looks like Makinx is going to make his way over to Landmo, and he should have enough magic to take him down, although with that sword, doesn't really need the fire rod, but it is an option.
So the one big thing that's holding jmeasher back, I don't know how much everyone else has been like taking it in, I just realized what's holding jmeasher back is they're still in the light world because they have yet to go to Ice Rod Cave for that moon pearl. So they're still covering a whole lot of distance, but they can't do anything Dark World until they pay a visit to that Ice Rod Cave.
That is an excellent point. Looks like Armos just has our map for us, and jmeasher is now finished with Eastern Palace, getting them their first crystal.
Going on that thought process, the thing that scares me about jmeasher skipping Ice Rod Cave, they might be thinking, I want to wait till I get flute so I can at least flute to that spot and just dash up. But we already found flute by the smiths, which requires Dark World access. So they have to take that long trek, just booting their whole way to that cave. Hopefully they're heading there now. Let's find out.
Definitely looks like it, because they did do Moldorm Cave. Nope, they're gonna... Looks like they're heading off over to the desert area. Might be making a play to go finish off Landmo.
They did unlock it, so they don't need to waste any more magic treading back up there, so it definitely makes sense to go there to clear it out.
It is worth noting that jmeasher still does not have a sword, so he will need to use either the Fire Rod or Ice Rod to kill Landmo.
Either that or the 4 arrows they currently have with their bow.
If only they were silvers. And looks like we're going to get a check on Checkerboard Cave from Makinx. And just some more money, which it looks like he's going to go ahead and snag that up while he's here. Alright, so as jmeasher continues his way through the back part of Desert Palace, looks like Makinx is going to go ahead and hand in that mushroom, see what the witches are holding for us tonight. And just another $100. And he goes ahead and does a hard reset, so I gotta figure he's looking to maybe do a fake powder.
That they are, which we do know that Makinx can make that play, because on the jmeasher side we see the red cane has been acquired. I believe it was in Sahasrarla's closet, right?
That is correct. Looks like Makinx is going to go ahead and do his Death Mountain check, so he's going to be picking up red cane, or not red cane, excuse me. Looks like going to be picking up Quake, and I believe Mushroom was up here, if I'm not mistaken. Or was that off of Boss?
Mushroom was Hype Cave. Bo might have been in Paradox, possibly.
Yes, it was. I knew there was something else up there.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine that Makinx is going to get a second mushroom. I think jmeasher's finally realized the repercussions of heading west to Desert instead of east to Ice Rod Cave.
Shout out to chat for confirming that it was Bo and Quake in Paradox Cave on Death Mountain.
Thanks, chat, for keeping us honest.
And jmeasher is going to go pick up his Moon Pearl now.
Definitely got to feel at least a little bit behind, thinking there's a decent chance Makinx went this way when jmeasher decided to head to Desert instead. Which, honestly, I do not blame jmeasher for doing what they did. They received the book from Moldorum Cave, and they had all the other equipment to unlock Land Molus. The only thing that held them back from finishing it the first time they visited was a lack of magic.
That is correct. Playing the odds, the odds of the Moon Pearl being there are very low. It just unfortunately didn't work out for them tonight.
And jmeasher showing off some water walking here. Gonna get a couple of flipperless checks.
Just get a big red on the island here, and they're just gonna go straight up to the Zora area. Getting a check on Waterfall Cave, which tonight gives us 10 arrows and some more blueberries.
All right, for jmeasher's sake, we hope there's nothing too nice up on that ledge. Just some money, so they don't need to worry about coming back here later when they find flippers. Let's see what Zora has to offer. This would be a fantastic place to find the vanilla item at this point.
Very true. However, given the way that the seed's going, I'm putting my money on Life Lesson, and it is a sword.
You know, I'd pay 500 for that.
Absolutely.
So we are now flippers and possibly an ether away from no mode.
Makinx picking up his bow. And here's Quake. A little bit of bacon for his diet, and the bottle.
And jmeasher is just ready to take their first dip into the dark world here. Picking up that rock and heading on in.
Absolutely. So we're going to get a map check on their end, and got green pendants in Skull Woods and red pendant in Pod. Did not catch which were the red crystals, the 5-6.
I did not either, to be honest. Being that this is all dungeons, that's something I kind of don't pay as much attention to, because we will be seeing all dungeons visited. Oh, that's Blue Cane and Super Bunny, and also their last shield upgrade. Wow, it's going to make Laser Bridge pretty convenient. But yeah, so there still could be something nice on Hospital for the green pendant, or behind the big bomb once you beat crystals 5 and 6, but definitely not as big of a thing because we're doing all dungeons anyway.
Excellent point. jmeasher is making his way through the back of Skull Woods here. Looks like they're just gonna go straight over to back to Moth.
Definitely makes sense. There's only there's our flippers and
hookshot.
What I was starting to say was, if the 2 items that are in Skull Woods are found in this back area, they don't need to worry about clearing anything out of the front of Skull Woods. So I definitely understand what jmeasher's thinking here, going straight back to the Mothula area.
Absolutely. Now, on those flippers, I gotta figure Makinx is gonna make their way up to Zora probably sooner than later.
And I missed it at first, but I just saw Bombos is what is required to get into T-Rock. So Ether is not, and we have now found every single item we need for Go Mode. These runners haven't, but between the 2 of them, they have. This blows my mind.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what's going on with this seed right now. So while Makinx makes their way to check what's on Spiral Cave, we are... Ooh, jmeasher unfortunately getting grabbed by that Wall Master there. It's not a huge time loss, but definitely not something that you want to see.
So it could put both of these runners in a little bit of trouble, given that now we know where everything is. Not a lot of progression was inside of dungeons. A lot of it was just scattered across the overworld. I know, at least when I try to clear around stuff, I tend to try to full clear dungeons and visit the dungeons I can beat first, and then go back to overworld later. So we'll see what, like, right now Makinx is heading to Hera, and we'll probably see a full clear of this, even though we know there's going to be nothing necessary. Possibly a sword upgrade or the silver arrows, but nothing they're going to necessarily need to beat the game.
Very true, although seeing that big key early in Hera is always good to see. That way we possibly don't have to do the basement here. Although, small key making me eat my words.
Oh, and that tile took me a while to go back and check, but it was some bombs held by someone friendly. Oh, and then we just saw the hookshot was in the... Oh, jeez. What? I feel like these tiles are just giving us a lot of information that we already know.
And jmeasher with 1 heart left takes down the moth. Gets a compass for their efforts. Also, our green pendant. Alright, so as jmeasher looks like they're making their way either to the front half of Skullwoods or possibly just going to nope out of there, we see Makinx taking on Moldorm. Hammer Moldorm only requires 3 hits with the hammer. And Makinx making it look easy.
jmeasher finding the single arrow in that right side chest of Skullwoods. Oh, and trying to go through a door with no key. So instead going to opt to bomb jump to the big chest. And I unfortunately was not tracking items, but it would seem that one of the Hera items did not reveal itself yet. As you can see, we have map, compass, and big key. So yeah, Makinx has to take this basement visit. Unfortunately, can't take the coffee break, is stuck having to defend themselves from these tiles because they missed that little trick to get some invulnerability frames. But, you know, not wasted time, just you can't look away.
And we get our 3rd sword out of Skullwoods.
Definitely a good find. So these runners both might find themselves grabbing Tempered Sword by the end of it. Do you remember where Makinx's fighter sword came from?
I believe Thieves Town? Somewhere in that general area, if I recall correctly. Hype Cave, thank you, chat.
Alright, putting this book to good use up on Death Mountain. Make things go triple boom. Good thing that there was nothing there for Makinx. They don't have the Master Sword to actually get the item to spawn, but you can at least read what item's there. And now we got Graveyard Ledge on jmeasher's end.
And since we know where all items required for Go mode are, most of what we're going to get out of here is just a little convenience for later. Maybe our other sword. And some green goo.
Yeah, I'd say at this point the most interesting thing we could find will be silver arrows.
Very true. While our runners probably don't need them, it's definitely something that they're going to want, if they can find it.
So to kind of keep track of what kind of required ground each of these runners has to cover that the other one already has, at least items-wise, Makinx is only missing the A sword upgrade and the red cane, I believe, at this point, which we know they can find at Zora or... I'm blanking.
Sahasrah's Closet, I believe, is where we found red cane.
That is correct. Yeah, I'm thinking where... Even though we were just talking about all sword locations, I'm already forgetting. This is terrible. There was Hype Cave, Zora, and a 3rd spot that I've already blanked on.
With the speed that the seed is going, I'm having a hard time keeping track of all this stuff as well.
And yeah, that Skullwoods was the other sword location. That's where Makinx is going. So we might find Makinx's sword upgrade here, and they might be thinking that they're just a red cane from Go mode, which they are. So when they finally make their way to Eastern, they will be happy with what they find.
Which, when you think about it, is kind of unfortunate for Makinx, because if they get the red cane before they make their way up to Zora, they may not get the tempered sword. Versus jmeasher, I don't believe they've been to Hype Cave yet.
Yeah, and that's one of those checks you don't just skip over, so there's a good chance jmeasher will be finding that tempered sword. Meanwhile, on jmeasher's end, what are we missing? We need flippers, which was up in Hookshot Cave, hammer from the shovel game, flute from the smiths. I believe that might be it.
I believe you are correct on that. Makinx working his way back toward the Moth, while jmeasher just continues to work their way through Thieves Town.
So I'm thinking at this point, it's looking like Makinx might have the edge.
I'd be inclined to agree with you, based on item volume and the fact that they have completed 3 dungeons as a piece.
I was trying to think of some clever way to input this, but I was saying Makinx has the edge in all way. I was going to say in all ways except for the sword, because we're thinking jmeasher is going to find tempered while Makinx might not, and you know, swords, edges, sharp, jokes. Ha.
Come on, man! You can't be denying us the sword puns. Makinx just hammering away at the Moth, while jmeasher continues through Thieves Town.
I like to think of this hammer as a fly swatter on Mothula right now.
That's definitely a great way to think about it, and Makinx definitely swatted that Moth down and got the green pendant for their trouble. Now, Makinx took out his mirror, so I have to figure we're probably going to get a ped check here as he's walking out of the dungeon.
Wouldn't that be a crazy place for the 4th sword upgrade to be hiding?
Or, God forbid, the silver arrows. And just some couch cash tonight.
I really wanted it to be something interesting, because given this is all dungeons, they will be getting all pendants, so it'd be interesting to see, like, these runners decide, is it worth taking the time to grab the pedestal if it was silver arrows, or if it was a sword upgrade.
It's a very good point. Now, we see Makinx making their way up to Pod, while jmeasher is making rather quick work of Blind. Just got to get 2 more hits, 1, and Blind is down.
Oh man, I was thinking that Makinx might have tried to do a pit stop at Sahasrara on the way to Pod, because if they did, they would have been able to go mode Pod and then do Eastern as well. Unfortunately, opting to go to Pod first, they don't get to go mode it.
Except we see them turning around. They might be doing exactly what you were just discussing.
I wonder if that was a lapse of memory that they changed their mind, or they wanted to take care of Kiki first. I might ask them about that afterwards. This is going to be fantastic news for Makinx, though. Oh, and speaking of fantastic news, jmeasher about to dig up a hammer.
So both runners almost simultaneously finding items that are absolutely crucial.
So at 49-50 minutes, Makinx now is in an all-dungeon seed go mode, which seems so crazy to think to me. Just to double check, Makinx has visited the Mire area, so they know what the medallion is there, as well as for T-Rock. So they are aware they're in go mode, right? At the very least, we'll see what their movement here tells us.
I believe you are correct. I think it was Makinx that made their way over to the Mire area. jmeasher gonna grab their flute off of the blacksmiths here shortly.
And we also got to see that ever-satisfying hammer dash, since jmeasher does have a sword when hitting up this smith area.
And early big key out of pod here.
Yeah, all Makinx needed to clear out pod in this go mode state was a key, and they were checking like all the quick chests along the way, and it took them longer than you'd expect for a pod visit to find them, because usually pod's so front loaded with keys, but the first two chests were not. Well, there was a big key, but well, they did need that, which was actually really lucky, but not the small key though. Surprised it took them that long to find one.
Yep, as you said there, this place is usually front loaded with small keys. At least when I'm trying to get through here quickly.
And we can see now Makinx does know they're in go mode, as they just choose to skip out on the entirety of the rest of pod here. Meanwhile, jmeasher's working on their smith loop, getting ready to take that purple chest in, while also taking a quick stop to release the duck.
So, since we're working our way toward a boss and some overworld checks, if you guys are enjoying this race, make sure to follow both of our runners. They were kind enough to allow us to stream this race here, so make sure that you give them some love.
So with these checks all around the Smith Loop area, jmeasher's actually caught up a little bit items-wise, and is now, I believe, just flippers away from go mode, so we just gotta wait for them to make their way up Death Mountain, get to Hookshot Cave, and then they'll find their flippers and be all set.
Very true, and you gotta figure that those checks are gonna be coming here shortly, because they can still make a play up to Hera, and that would be the perfect time. And our tempered sword out of the dig spot. We didn't get a check on that one earlier, did we?
No, that was a new find. So jmeasher might have the double-edged sword on Makinx here.
Nice pun. I love it.
Would you believe I came up with it as I was saying it? Like, oh, this sounds so clever.
That was actually rather seamless if it was on the spot. Well done. So, while we're making sword puns, Makinx is taking down a boss.
Yeah, Makinx doing all the important stuff. I'm just trying to joke over here.
jmeasher getting their $20 from purple chests. And we're going to get a check of the tablet over in the mire, or the desert area, excuse me.
I mean, desert is just light world mire. You're good.
And just a heart container for their effort. So jmeasher working their way over to Hype Cave. So soon we're going to have Butter Sword.
And then a little bit of fungus. Now with Butter Sword in hand, that is going to make dungeon clearing go by a little faster for jmeasher, although I'm not sure at this point if that's going to be enough to pick up the deficit that they have against Makinx here.
One thing to consider is that Makinx still does have 5 dungeons to clear, and having to do 5 dungeons with Master Sword versus 6 with Butter, it's definitely can't rule it out.
For sure. I think what it really is going to come down to is when does jmeasher do Hookshot Cave, which unfortunately right here is one of those places where jmeasher is going to lose some time because they're about to do some full clearing of Pod, whereas we saw Makinx got to go mode it, and that's going to just take a whole lot of time away.
That is unfortunate, but we see Makinx taking down Armos and getting their 6th dungeon completion. I can't count tonight for some reason.
On the bright side for jmeasher, they are guaranteed to get to go mode Swamp because they'll get the flippers before they go there, and the flippers is all they need.
Very true, and both of our runners are also going to be able to go mode Ice Palace. Presumably, at least.
Yeah, jmeasher has no motivation to fake flippers their way into Ice Palace because all they need is all they need is flippers. So why would they go to Ice Palace to look for it if it can't be there?
Very, very true. So while jmeasher does their full clear of Pod, we see Makinx setting up to get into Swamp.
Now, I'm kind of hoping jmeasher ends up getting to find silvers for their troubles, because they're going to be full clearing everything. I'm just trying to think like what kind of silver linings are there for having to full clear dungeons, and as of right now, that's probably the best one, and there's not too much left with how many other things we've already found.
Very true. The only other thing that, if I were in their shoes, I would like to see would be the powder, just as an extra safety, but I'm also not as good as these runners, so they probably aren't going to need it.
I'm with you. I like me a good, a nice powder. Definitely can come in handy. And like we were talking about, there's just a lot of keys in Pod. jmeasher just goes down to that room, spends a key to get a key.
So jmeasher working their way through the dark maze in Pod while Makinx opting to grab that chest on the way over to Argus and gets 10 arrows for their trouble.
Yeah, they're just checking any chests along the way that don't deviate them from their go mode routing, just in case they'll find silvers or a sword upgrade. I wouldn't have been surprised if they also went down and got those 2 chests that are underwater that you drain, but deciding, you know, it's not worth heading down there, figuring they just want to go as fast as they can.
Yeah, well, not a huge time loss. When you're in go mode, you just want to go.
They call it go mode for a reason.
So Makinx making quick work of Argus considering Master Sword.
Yeah, I've seen some runners opt to do the menu strat where you keep swapping from hookshot to hammer, so you don't have to worry about doing those double slashes with the Master Sword. But showing us, there's no need to pause and stop, go, stop, go. And then we're seeing some spin slashes take him down, and that is another dungeon for Makinx.
So from here, what do you think? Is Makinx going to go Mire, or do you think they're going to work their way over to Ice Palace?
Since they have the flute, they have all the mobility they need to get to wherever they want. They have the mirror out now. I think they're going to mirror and use the flute. I'm going to guess to Ice Palace, just to pick one of them.
It would appear that you are correct. Makinx taking that flute spot to head their way over into Ice Palace.
And in go mode, Makinx decides it's not even worth reading that little hint tile in the first room. Totally makes sense.
Absolutely. Now we see jmeasher starting the approach up to Helmasaur King. For those that may be new to Randomizer, it takes 17 hits with the hammer to break the mask on Helmasaur, and then you can use any weapon, for the most part, to hit the jewel on his head, which will allow you to finish the fight, which with Butter Sword, it takes 2 hits. And jmeasher taking down Helmasaur King and getting the red pendant, and also their 5th dungeon completion.
All right, so where does jmeasher go next is the big question.
Looks like they're making their way over to the Mire area.
Yeah, they're unfortunately in that mentality of, if I can do a dungeon, I ought to. And that they don't know it, and I don't blame them for this, but it's unfortunately hurting them this time. Because that Flippers, it's just in Hookshot Cave. They pay one visit there, and they're done. They're in go mode.
That is very true. While under normal circumstances, this is a perfectly reasonable routing decision. Unfortunately, it's not going to work out for them this time.
And Makinx just breezed through Ice Palace there, onto Cold Stare without a care in the world.
Now, I am curious how Makinx is going to decide to take down Cold Stare with only having the Master Sword. I gotta figure it's going to be Fire Rod. What do you think?
They're definitely going to try to get some hits in with Fire Rod, because that Master Sword's not going to do anywhere near as much damage. They do have Red Mail and 12 hearts to their name, so they got to feel pretty safe for the most part. Using that sword at first to keep them locked in the corner for a little bit, but once they split off, it's time for Fire Rod a bit. But now we got to switch back to the sword.
Now, Makinx could pull out the hammer to get that tempered sword damage on the boss, but Hammer Sword Cold Stare is a pain in the rear end, but Makinx making this look easy again, and finishing off yet another dungeon.
Meanwhile, jmeasher is still clearing their way through Meyer, grabbing the key on the left side and opting to bring it back to the right.
Getting a little bit of a convergence here as Makinx makes their way over to Meyer.
Yeah, Meyer's one of those weird dungeons where go mode can be a big deal or not so much. Makinx needs to find the big key, which on jmeasher's side we just saw was like in the left side up above, like north of that torch room. I don't know how to fully describe it. But so that's like not too far into the dungeon, but it's also not the first chest either. So not the best go mode Meyer you could have, but also not the worst.
Certainly not. jmeasher working their way down over into the dark rooms in Meyer.
Now, an interesting thing I just noticed about what jmeasher's doing, they're currently finishing another pendant dungeon. This is going to be their third. I think there's any chance they might just do a blind pedestal pull? I mean, they have the book that doesn't have to be blind.
It's certainly possible. I wonder if jmeasher is just trying to put off going up to Death Mountain right now, since it's so out of the way. Even though there are 2 dungeons there, they do not know that go mode is up there. So blind ped pull is, I think, wouldn't be a terrible decision. It's just not going to work out for them this time. You were talking about the Toad Bunny sprite, there it was.
That's so perfect.
So jmeasher making their way into Vitreous, which with Butter Sword, this boss goes down pretty quick. The only other thing that I think jmeasher would like right now would be Silver Arrows.
Well, I think what they want is flippers, but I get what you mean.
Should have added the modifier for this boss fight. You are correct about the flippers. And jmeasher taking down Vitreous and getting that blue pendant. Now, I am very curious to see where jmeasher goes from here.
Back in is where he's going. I'm guessing they left behind maybe the big chest or something like that.
Yeah, come to think of it, I don't think we saw jmeasher go to the right side at all, except for that upper right area. So Makinx jumping into the Vitreous room and opting for the blue cane, which, considering that Macon has the Master Sword, I like this strat.
I don't think the frame rate does, though. You just see the game almost screeching to a halt here.
There's a reason that it's called the lag cane, for sure.
And jmeasher was heading to the right, but unfortunately forgetting you have to hit the switch to make those little blue pegs go down.
That's a very easy mistake to make for anybody.
Unfortunately, only finding a key there, so now they have to trek all the way to the big chest. Let's see if it was worth anything to get over there.
Meanwhile, Makinx taking down Vitreous and getting their 9th dungeon completion. So at this point, Makinx simply needs to finish off Turtle Rock and then Aga 1, and then they can make their way up to Ganon's Tower.
So the nice thing about all dungeons, they are able to do Aga 1 after doing Ganon's Tower. The only requirement to get into Ganon's Tower is still the 7 crystals. So you're right that they have to do all those dungeons, but just keep you honest here. Not calling you out, but yeah, just we will. I'm betting we'll see Ganon's Tower done first, and then they'll mirror, do a quick Aga 1, and then go back and drop into the Ganon fight.
I'm actually glad that you mentioned that, because I completely spaced on that, so good call. So Makinx working their way into Turtle Rock, while jmeasher finds that the witches do not have the flippers today. And we got our Death Mountain play out of jmeasher, so flippers incoming as soon as they can make their way over to Hookshot Cave.
And boy, are they going to feel behind once they open that chest.
I guess the only question remaining at this point is, will jmeasher go to Hera before Hookshot Cave?
Fingers crossed they don't. I gotta think, Hookshot's a pretty quick check. You might as well dip it before going into a dungeon.
And we get the bug net out of the spike chest in Turtle Rock for Makinx. Meanwhile, jmeasher checking out the tablet up here. Did we? This just said money, if I'm not mistaken. Did we get a check of this? Nope, blueberries. I am wrong. My apologies.
You're right that we did get a check. Makinx only had the fighter sword, so we just got to read the tablet say, "I make things go triple boom."
That's right, I remember now. So jmeasher going into Hera before hitting Hookshot Cave. That's unfortunate.
And we saw earlier that Makinx did have to go to the basement for the second item, so that will be time lost due to lack of go mode, unfortunately.
Trying in vain to get a hint that might tell jmeasher where the flippers are hiding. That does seem to be the nature of the hints, though. When you really need them, you never get the one that you're looking for.
And that tablet just reminding jmeasher where that hook shot was. We do get to see the super effectiveness of the butter sword here on Moldorm, though. So, nice little up that jmeasher has on Makinx boss fights-wise.
Very true. 2 slashes and Moldorm goes down with the butter sword for jmeasher.
And with the big key from earlier in the dungeon in hand, Makinx realizing they don't even need to check the vanilla big key chest, just steals the key off of the pokey on the left side and brings it round back.
stopping to grab those arrows. I completely understand that. Never know when they might come in handy, especially when you're looking at going into Ganon's tower pretty soon.
jmeasher just did a quick loop-de-loop there. Saw that there was 20 rupees on the spectacle. Decides not worth getting it. Gonna do a nice little hammer dash. And do you think now might be the time for Hookshot Cave?
It's certainly looking like it, because, yeah, they're going to hit the Dark World portal on top of Turtle Rock, and Hookshot is going to be the first stop. So I got to figure that they're going to get their flippers here shortly. Ooh, getting dead rocked. That's not what you want right now if you're jmeasher. I guess the only question is, will they go into Turtle Rock before hitting Hookshot? Oh no, that's what they're doing.
I didn't want to say anything in hopes of not bringing it up would work in jmeasher's favor. But no.
Yeah, like, should have kept my mouth shut.
It's okay. You know, if you can complete the dungeon, I don't blame them. Hookshot is a really quick set of checks, so it does also make sense to go there first, but hey, if you just need one item, maybe they're thinking they're behind. They could be thinking of this potentially as a gamble.
Very true. Unfortunately, not going to work out for them. Now we see Makinx taking on Trinex. Getting trolled a little bit by the ice head, but gets it down.
In the end, there wasn't any ice on the floor, so I would consider that a win.
Absolutely. And with a couple Master Sword swipes and a couple hammer hits, Trinex goes down. And a bee in a bottle for their efforts, as well as their last dungeon completion that is not Aga or Ganon.
And at this point, we have completed all crystal dungeons to get into Ganon's Tower, so it is time for everyone's favorite Big Key Ganon's Tower guessing game. Put in your numbers 1 to 22. See where we think Ganon's Big Key is going to be. You have a favorite number you like to pick for these?
Gotta go with trusty number 7.
Fair enough. I am a big fan of the Bonk Torch myself, which can be a bunch of different numbers depending on what route the runners pick. I usually just say 3, because that's a possible route they could end up taking.
Fair enough.
I'm waiting to witness a seed where it is on Bonk Torch, but they don't have boots yet. I'm sure it's happened to someone before, but I've yet to see it myself.
I believe I saw it during the qualifiers for the tournament. I could be mistaken on that. So first chest, we have a piece of heart and a red rupee out of the second one.
And with no key, they don't even have the option to visit right side first, so Torch does get to be number 3.
Well, it's a key on the torch.
I'm counting it.
I'll give you full credit on that. Close enough. Close counts, right? And we get half magic, small key, Another small key and a compass for chests 4 through 7. So my guess is out.
It was a key too, though, wasn't it? Or was that the compass at 7?
Mine was the compass.
And 8 just being a piece of heart, I believe that was.
It was something red.
Meanwhile, jmeasher's side, heading up to the final portion here of Turtle Rock. Gonna have to go through Laser Bridge, though.
That is unfortunate, and unlike Makinx, jmeasher does not have the riot shield. However, making these laser dodges look very easy. Oh, commentator's curse. My apologies.
Was that 10, I believe, in the rando room?
I believe so.
I'm double, triple checking my math before I lock the key game in.
So, we see jmeasher taking on Trinex right now, while Makinx makes their way up to the gauntlet. Both heads going down very easy. And just like that, Trinex is down for jmeasher. Gonna finish up this dungeon, and you gotta figure Hookshot Cave is gonna be their next stop. And there we go, dungeon number 8 complete for jmeasher. Over on the left-hand side, we see Macon working their way through the Ganon's Tower Gauntlet. My goodness.
And a quick congratulations to Weighty Words for being the winner of the Big Key guessing game today.
And jmeasher is in fact going into Hookshot Cave, so they're going to get their flippers here in just a second. And there they are. So at 1:23:45, jmeasher is in go mode. So as Makinx takes on Landmo 2, we see jmeasher working their way over to Ice Palace.
So we were talking about that silver lining earlier for jmeasher about what dungeons they're guaranteed to go mode. Turns out those are the only 2 dungeons that they get to go mode for certain, as all they have left is Ice Palace and Swamp Palace.
Very good observation, and Makinx still just ripping through this gauntlet. As jmeasher makes her way into Ice Palace.
Now, at this point, if you're Makinx, you're definitely hoping for either a sword upgrade or silvers. But as a commentator / viewer, what are we hoping for? That's the real question.
I wouldn't mind seeing some Master Sword. Oh, and there's the silver arrows just as I say that.
Oh, Makinx is definitely breathing a huge sigh of relief finding those.
Absolutely. So, while jmeasher works on taking out that bomb jump in Ice Palace, we see Makinx taking on Moldorm 2. And taking down Moldorm 2 with relative ease. Checking that last chest, probably hoping for a sword at this point since they just got their silvers, and they're going to work their way up to Aga 2.
Well, at least now they're guaranteed not to get lost in these last 2 or 3 rooms.
Very true. So, let's see what the Geometry Wizard has in store for us tonight. Getting 2 on the first wave. Got 1 on the second one. Another double. And Aga 2 is down for Makinx as jmeasher falls down the pit to take on Cold Stare. Unfortunately, jmeasher taking a hit from the puffballs and not going to be getting a quick kill tonight, unfortunately.
Fortunately, Butter makes it not too slow in the end, at least comparatively.
Very good point. And now we see Makinx working their way into Aga 1.
After all that talk I had earlier about remembering this was all dungeons, I was confused that we hadn't dropped to the big pig already.
Good, I'm not the only one to forget that tonight.
And Makinx opens that first of 2 chests in the Aga Tower climb. Unfortunately, these chests aren't... Well, they're necessary to climb up because they both have keys, but when you get into key sanity, these 2 chests can be really interesting because the keys could be elsewhere, and these could be some kind of interesting progress. Won't be seeing that today because no key sanity.
That is correct. So as we see Makinx continuing up Aga Tower, we see jmeasher making their way over to Swamp Palace. Now, Swamp Palace is definitely one of the more satisfying dungeons in this game to be able to go mode, just because left side is just atrocious when you're trying to go quickly.
For a second there, I was hoping Makinx would read us that tile on the wall. All right, we're coming up on everyone's second favorite Link to the Past randomizer guessing game. How many blue balls will we be seeing on this Aga fight? You got any guesses?
I'm gonna take a stab at 4.
Pretty decent call. The way I hear it, if you want to guess and get the odds in your favor, I think 3 is always the best option. But I mean, in the end, it's randomized, so it could be anything within the potential list. I know there's a max it caps off at.
So if you're new to Randomizer, one thing to note is that on Aghanim, he does 5 shots per cycle. I think, is that the proper term, cycle?
It works.
Okay, so 5 shots per cycle. The first one is always an orb that you can reflect back at him. After that, it's randomized. And then the 5th one is always the lightning attack that you just saw.
And so far, only 1 blue ball. And 2.
There's number 3.
And statistics wins out today as we get 3 blue balls, which is the most likely outcome.
So Makinx working their way into the Ganon room.
Ganon posing a very smart question to us all today.
That he is. Now the real question is, how hard of a time do you think Makinx is going to have with Master Sword? I gotta figure it's not going to be that big of a deal for them.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. It won't be hard. It'll just be tedious and possibly a little frustrating, as they can only get hits with spin slashes. On to Phase 2 in a blink of an eye, at least in Master Sword speed terms, as jmeasher also clears up Swamp on their end. They're ready to head up to Ganon's Tower. Well, for those in chat who didn't get to read what Ganon said, because he speaks pretty fast sometimes, he said, "If we're not meant to have midnight snacks, why is there a light in the fridge?"
That's always been my excuse for my late night snacks. Now we're on to Phase 3 out for Makinx.
Remembering they have a blue potion, though, paying off here.
Alright, so see the beginning of the final phase. Makinx already got 1 arrow shot in, and looks like he might be able to set up for a double here. And with that, the pig is down for Makinx.
Get your GGs in chat as Makinx enters the Triforce room and finishes with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 6 seconds. A time that blows my mind for an all dungeon seed. That was a fantastic on my Makinx. GGs in chat for sure for Makinx here.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was an insanely fast seed for an all dungeon.
If someone just showed me that time and said, hey, this person just beat a Link to the Past randomizer race, and they asked me what category it was, I would not have in my wildest dreams even considered it an all dungeons one.
Absolutely not.
Meanwhile, jmeasher is still climbing their way up Ganon's tower here. Gonna head on over to these chests up here. See, I forgot all we found. There was, oh, there was half magic. That's always a nice find to have. So I'm guessing so far jmeasher has taken the same route, going right side, getting those first two chests. It'll be interesting to see what a number the big key chest is for them.
Yeah, I gotta figure. I do believe you are correct that they did go right side first. I'm sure chat will correct me if I'm mistaken.
That being said, that means it's either going to be 10, 11, 12, or 13, depending on how they decide to clear out these 4 checks. And it was 10 once again.
So jmeasher working their way up to the gauntlet.
Definitely going to be interesting to see how smoothly jmeasher just gets to breeze through it with Butter Sword.
And with Butter Sword and 16 possible hearts with 13 current, I gotta figure they're just gonna make quick work of this.
And we are now joined by Makinx. GG for your race there. How you feeling?
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I feel good. I feel great about that one. Really fast.
Yeah, so we were talking during the early game. We were amazed at how front-loaded the seed was. Any comment on that?
Yeah, it was ridiculous, the amount of items that the seed was so open. You know,
Yeah.
everything was open at some point, and you know what made it even faster is that all the items, all the progression items were outside of the dungeons, for the most part, like the cane and the flippers.
Yeah, we on the viewer side hit no mode at like the 39-40 minute mark, which was just insane to watch. The big thing that caused like a huge deviation was Mini Moldorm Cave, where you found the book. jmeasher opted to take that book and go straight to desert, which really made sense because they had everything to clear it out. The only issue they ran into was they ran out of magic and couldn't beat Landmolus. But then you went to Ice Rod Cave instead and found the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, I always want to finish that route before I do anything else, because otherwise I tend to forget Ice Rod Cave at all. So this is 2 in a row now where it had something important. The last one was the flute, so I'm glad I'm doing it. I also had Desert on my mind when I found that book, but I didn't really want to do that with the weapon situation at that point. I mean, you can kill the Landmos with the fire rod and bombs or whatever, but I'd rather have something solid to fall back on if I run out of magic. So I decided to do some more stuff.
Right, and with finding Moon Pearl and Ice Rod Cave, that just blew the seed wide open at that point. So.
Yeah. So at that point, it didn't really make sense to go to desert it right away. Figured I would just do Darkbolt first.
And how about beating this seed with just the Master Sword? Is that something you find yourself having to do often?
No, not a whole lot. You usually find at least Temper Sword, so it has been a while. But I'm okay, I guess, with Master Sword again. I'm not great at it, but I can usually get the job done. And of course, I had Red Mail, Half Magic, plenty of hearts, so it wasn't really that tough of a fight. Also, the Blue Potion helped out.
Speaking of help, jmeasher just picked up their silver arrows and gauntlet.
Yeah, that was a great find as well. So everything just worked out for me with those silvers up there.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've looked into it at all, but the 2 sword upgrades you missed, I believe one was at Zora, and the other, I want to say, was the shovel digging up the flute spot.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's all stuff that was on my mind, you know, to do right after pod Eastern combo. But there was just no point because I found the cane at Sahasrala's closet.
Right, and one quick thing I wanted to ask about, I noticed that because the red cane was your go mode item, you first you like picked up Kiki the monkey and dropped him off at pod to open the door, and then you turned back to Sahasrala. Was that like, did you forget about Sahasrala? Like, oh shoot, I should go get that?
Yeah, I forgot about it, and because I was so close to go mode, only needing the king, I figured I'd just walk back for it because go moding pod and Eastern can be a lot faster than doing the entire dungeon. Yeah, it turned out it was the right choice because the king was at Sahasrala. It was a really friendly pod as well with the big key early on.
That it was. Now, we see jmeasher taking on Aga 2, and we get a double to start. Getting just a single there. And we get a triple!
Fantastic work by jmeasher. That's always great to see.
Yeah, he's gonna fight. Let me with Ganon. He still has Aga Tower, is he?
Right. So I'm curious. Since you were so close to having to do a silverless Master Sword, Ganon, how comfortable do you think you would have been, kind of in that situation?
Oh, just as comfortable as with as I was with the silvers. The toughest part for me is the first two phases. You just got to hit 12 times, especially phase 2 with the fire bats. After that, it's really not that hard once you get your timing down. You have to do 24 spins. That's a lot, but I don't know. Once you learn the timing, it's really not that tough of a fight. And I had half magic. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
so
I wasn't worried about that one. Yeah.
That's good.
It would have been more tedious than difficult, definitely.
Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch the first race of this doubleheader between you two. I believe you won that one as well. How did these two seeds compare? Like, was this one more fun? Too easy? Something like, what kind of comparison-wise?
Well, this one wasn't, I would say, too easy. I mean, it was very different from the first one. The first one was Ganon goal, so you don't want to do the pendant dungeons really, but I had to dip all of the pendant dungeons anyway just to find the fire rod, which was hidden in Pendant Ice Palace. Yeah, so that felt like more of a slog than this one. You know, it was hard work. This one was just a free seed. It's just fun to play. You don't want all your seeds to be like this, but sometimes it's just nice to get one of these.
For sure, yeah. The only thing that kind of held jmeasher back from running into that same situation but being so free was just the flippers in Hookshot Cave, opting to clear a whole bunch of dungeons instead.
Yeah, that's a problem with these really open seeds. Once you go dungeon diving, you're just relying on all the stuff you need to be in the dungeons. And I was lucky. I'm kind of a thorough player, I guess. You know, I try to do everything in between the dungeons as well. And sometimes that backfires, but in this case, it just really helped out.
Yeah, that's what was happening to jmeasher a lot this seed. He was making very reasonable routing decisions in trying to prioritize dungeons, and unfortunately just didn't work out for him in this seed.
Yeah, that's just a tough break. Yeah, that's rando is what they say.
Very true. So we see jmeasher taking on Aghanim 1 right now.
Pulling out that trusty bug net to do the job. I like seeing this.
Okay. Gotta love seeing bug net strats on Aga.
So do you know, Makinx, where this kind of puts you in the standings of your group as of right now?
Currently, I am firmly in third place. Not really being challenged for third place right now, but second place is Data World, and he's a little ways off. He has 10 wins at the moment, where I'm sitting at 8 wins, I think.
Gotcha. So you need to have a couple things aligned, get a couple more wins under your belt, and it's possible, but...
Yeah, I have 2 more matches left. One against Sea Falcon and one against Willard. I really need to win them both to actually stand a chance. It's going to be tough.
One thing that's not going to be tough is jmeasher now on Ganon, and with Buttersword, this is going to be a very easy fight for them.
I'm liking the use of the dashes to get little pokes on Ganon's face there.
Dash strats are very fun to watch, especially when you can't pull them off like I can't. Already on to phase 3. And Ganon showing off how well he can teleport right now. Holy crap.
Makes that torch glitch with Fire Rod look easy. I'm more used to just spamming the lantern on the torch just to guarantee it.
Hey, you can't be afraid to drain half your magic with that torch, or with that lamp trying to get that torch glitch.
And continuing to put on a show for us, jmeasher opting to keep those silver arrows in their pocket and doing some silverless Buttersword strats here.
Gotta love the swag strats to wrap the seed out. Now, I always forget, how many spins with Buttersword does it take to take down Ganon, if you're going silverless?
It's 12 spins.
Thank you very much.
Same as with Tempered.
And down goes Ganon for jmeasher.
Get your GGs in chat for jmeasher as they enter the Triforce room. Finishing with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, and 48 seconds. What a fantastic race this has been by both runners. Really, in the end, like, jmeasher's still putting up a really great time for an all-dungeon seed like this, still getting way under 2 hours. This is impressive to see.
Yeah, if not for some very reasonable routing decisions just not working out for them, this would have been an even better time, but this is still a very respectable time for jmeasher. And we are joined by jmeasher, GG.
Yo, GG, Makinx.
GG, thanks.
So how you feeling after getting through that seed there, jmeasher?
Oh, sorry. I think that might have been my mic issue. I'm, you know, I'm feeling as good as you can for having lost a race. I don't know that there's any one thing I'd point to say I wish I'd done differently. Even the desert play. It felt like it made sense at the time, and I felt like I would be able to get some magic drops in the dungeon. Unfortunately, I didn't get any. And I got there, and I was like, even with, I think with 10 bombs, I don't even think I had enough fire rod or magic to kill even one landmo, so I just kind of had to dip. And overall, like, I was feeling really good about my routing. I was like, hey, I'm one item away from go mode through most of the dungeons. Just unfortunately, it turned out that Makinx god routed his seed, and it is what it is. That's rando.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that most of the way through as you went through this, that like no decision you made we thought was necessarily a bad one just from a, outsider's perspective, knowing what you knew. Unfortunately, every single time you dipped another dungeon, we cringed a little and hoped you instead went to Death Mountain. But I mean, if you can clear a dungeon, there's plenty of chests in there, you need to clear it anyway. Everything you did, I think, made perfect sense. And grabbing that book and just dashing straight to desert, having everything to clear it, I see nothing wrong with that play. It just hurts that Moon Pearl was up in that Ice Rod Cave.
Yeah, I think ultimately that's what sealed the deal. If I had Moon Pearl early and made the play to sequence break Death Mountain like I did afterwards, I would have been in go mode. Geez, way earlier. I would have been in go mode after getting the cane. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think. No, I probably would have got Eastern first, so I still would have had Hammer. I guess Hammer would have been my go mode at that point. Just trying to think back on it. But yeah, no, it's the decision not to go for Ice Rod Cave and get that Moon Pearl. It's kind of one of those snap decisions you make when you find book and boots and you already have a fire source. It's just like the seed is screaming at you to go to Desert Palace. But yeah, turns out the one item location you left behind is lost. And I also thought if Makinx did go that way early, he might not have ever gotten back to Zora, which would have given me a sword advantage, which turns out it did, and then of course it didn't really matter because the gap was too wide at that point.
Yeah, so the plays you made, like that sequence break up Death Mountain also was very informative to us, like just how much you found up there. To give you perspective, we were talking about this a little earlier. I believe us viewers were in no mode at like the 39-40 minute mark, which just blew my mind when we saw it, just how fast between the two of you cleared all the checks that had all the requirements to beat the game.
Yeah, several times we were talking amongst ourselves wondering who's ahead right now, and we didn't even want to hazard a guess. It was so front-loaded of a seed, we had no idea what to think of it.
Yeah, I just lost so much time in Misery Mire and Pod specifically, because there's really not going to be much of a gap when you're between go mode Turtle Rock and go mode and non-go mode Turtle Rock. And then I skipped out on Hera Basement, so I didn't feel like I would lose much time there. But having to full clear both Pod and Misery Mire, and especially having to go back into Misery Mire after beating it to get the last item, that's where pretty much most of the major time was lost to Makinx.
So just, you mentioned you didn't go to Hera Basement. Was that just a gamble, hoping that there just wasn't anything there?
It's one item, and I was one item away from go mode with a full dungeon left to clear up on Death Mountain. The plan was to go straight to Turtle Rock, and then if that didn't have it, Hookshot Cave, Super Bunny, and then if those didn't have it, then I probably would have checked Hera Basement before going to Spike Cave. So I was still counting on it, counting on doing it if I didn't find Flipper somewhere else, but it just didn't seem to make sense to go that far out of my way for one item when I had so many checks left.
For sure, and like you mentioned, a go mode Turtle Rock is not really that much different from a non-go mode Turtle Rock, so why shove a Hera basement before it? So yeah, definitely makes a lot of sense. And real quick, I want to make sure the Moon Pearl in Ice Rock Cave, was that actually your last available check by the time you went back there?
No, technically Zora was in Logic, but I think I definitely had enough money at the time because I ended up going there anyways. But beyond that, yeah, it was pretty much last location except for Zora.
Right, because wasn't it you grabbed the Moon Pearl and then took that and water walked your way to Zora, and that's how you got one of your swords?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so do either of you runners have any final thoughts on this seed, on your 2 races today, the tournament in general? Any kind of parting words you want to give our lovely chat?
I don't know. This was a really nice seed. It's really late night here, so it's nice to play a quick one.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, just nice seed to end the night. Better than the first one we did, for sure.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
I finished this one. And as far as the tournament, at this point, I'm so far down the rankings. I'm just trying to finish as many of these races as I can because I know we've only got like a week left. And yeah, just trying to have fun. That's what it's all really about for me at this point.
Yeah, you put a great show on for us also towards the end there, jmeasher, pulling out the bug net for Aghanim and also doing a silverless Ganon to finish it off too.
Yeah, Twitch chat was very, very appreciative of those swag strats.
I'm sure they were. It's fun to. It's get some practice in. You never know when a swordless seed is going to pop up. But no, I'm race is already over and might as well have a little bit of fun.
All right, Kerrigal, you got any closing thoughts for us?
No, just thanks to our runners for putting on such a good show. This was insanely fun to cast. Thank you, Xander, for the awesome commentary.
Yeah, it has been a pleasure. For those of you who have not yet had enough rando in your life, there is currently a race between Swerve and Zero Rush over on Speed Gaming 5. According to this, it started at 9:30, so it's just fresh out the gate. So it should be a good one. Feel free to hop on over there to check it out. And on that note, that is going to be it for us. Thank you so much for our runners, for our tracker, for our restream, all the people that make this possible. You are lovely, chat. Always great to have you around. And Kerrigal, thanks for being such a great co-commentator. It has been a blast working with you.
You as well, Xander. And guys, make sure that you give our 2 runners a follow, as well as my co-commentator, Xander, here. Everybody puts in a ton of work. These guys did a doubleheader today, so show them some love, give them a follow.
And that is going to be it. So thanks again, everyone, for stopping by, and we will catch you on another Link to the Past Rando down the line. Have a good one.